Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy. Thy will be done. Stories. Stories in your interviewing. We're going to talk about that. And in a few minutes after we do that, we're going to have Rich Levinsky's going to be with us, as he always is every Wednesday evening, talking about consultants in the workplace. We've lately been spending 10 seconds being grateful. You can't be unhappy with you're grateful. Think of 3 things today that you were grateful for. Go. You got to be happy when you're grateful. Well, there are 6 types of stories for interviews. Who am I stories? Why am I here stories? Vision stories, learning stories, value stories. I know what you're thinking stories. Who am I? Who I am stories. These are stories that you tell about yourself that tell you who you are, tell people who you are in the interviewing process. Probably the most important stories that you're going to tell. Tell about your background, your history, quick human snapshots of you, your character, how it was built, what your experience was, what your successes were. Now, all of these stories don't have to be lengthy. They can be 45 seconds to a minute. You should have 2 stories in each category. You don't have to use all of them in every interview, but who am I stories are the most important ones because how you survived, what you did, who you are, what the core of your being is, so that people know who they're hiring, what kind of character they're hiring, every dimension of you. Why I'm here stories. Stories about why you're there, how you got there, why you have to leave the position that you're in or were in, the positions that you've had in the past, why that this job that you're interviewing for is so important. Connecting between yourself, your background, and the job that you're interviewing for. A short narrative about the moment you realize that you needed to change jobs and why that's important that you go to work for the firm you're interviewing with. And a story about that connection. Vision stories. What the future will look like when you are in their employment. If they hire you, what is their tomorrow going to look like? A story about what the vision of the company will be, what it'll look like when you're there, how you'll make it better. Simply how you've made other firms better, and therefore you'll make their better. Theirs better. Learning stories. How you've learned from the stories of your past, what you learned by the mistakes that you made, the successes that you had. Learning stories, real important. We learn as much by our failures as we do by our successes. A couple of stories about some of the failures that you've had, what you learned by it, and how it applies to the job you're applying for. Value stories, where you got your values. The core basic values that you've got and how you got them growing up, learning from different people, your parents, the values that you bring to the company that you're interviewing for, and the values that apply to the job the hardworking, the discipline. Stories about where you got those values. Very important. And finally, the I know what you're thinking stories. These are particularly good when it comes to things in your past, like too many jobs, like having a gap in your resume. You know what they're thinking, and you can literally say things like, I know when you look at your resume, my resume, there's a gap here in this, between these two jobs, or I've been out of work for quite some time. I realize that, and here's what happened. Those are the, I know what you're thinking. You're concerned about that. And let me put that to rest. Let me tell you why that happened there. And it's before they even bring it up. You know what they're thinking. They're thinking critically about your background, why you didn't finish your degree, why you stayed at a particular job a short period of time, why you have been out of work for a long period of time. It's really important for you to be able to highlight those I know what you're thinking stories before the people that you are interviewing with even bring them up. That's probably the most important part of your whole interview. If you're going to bring those, you've got to bring those up and meet those objections and concerns. These take practice. You've got to have 2 stories in every one of the who am I stories, why I'm here stories, vision stories, learning stories, value stories, and you know what you're thinking stories. Have 2 stories in each category. Practice them so that they come out of you very naturally. If you do those and incorporate them in your interview, you will interview much better than most anybody else they talk to. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashir with the Job Search Solution.